This is the Lean Builders Hoots on the Ground podcast with absolutely, positively no bullshito. Join us as we dig into exactly what lean construction is and how we can use these concepts and strategies in the field. This podcast will be different as we journey to job sites and mine the minds of lean builders, all in effort to pass forward building knowledge from those who have put their time in to learn a better way. Because that's just what lean builders do.
What's up, y'all? Adam Hoots here, the Lean Builder Hoots on the Ground podcast, coming back to you for season 2 of Hoots on the Ground. Shout outs to Joe and Keon for allowing me this opportunity to continue to serve the construction industry, utilizing the Lean Builder platform. I am so grateful. We're about to take the keys to this Ferrari. We're going to whip it around the block again. We're going to be talking with industry leaders who are making a difference in the way we deliver projects. We're making improvements for the men and women who are actually putting their hands on the work. We're making the work easier and faster for construction. We're highlighting all the amazing lean builders who are out there making a difference, being change makers in the industry, who are putting mental health, women in construction, all of these things at the forefront in order to better produce work, in order to better deliver high-performing buildings for our clients who trust and believe in lean builders, because that's what lean builders do. And we won't stop until the entire industry is delivering projects at a rapid success rate that is out of this world. So shout out Lean Builder 2023. We're coming for you super strong. We're going to kick this year off with a huge announcement. Clemson University has just reached out to your boy, Hoots on the Ground, to teach their construction scheduling class to the undergrad students at CSM program here at the university. I'm super excited to announce that I'm going to be your instructor for spring of 2023. We're going to have a good time. We're going to learn all about Scrum. We're going to learn about Kanban. We're going to learn about CPM, tax planning, last planner system. We're going to learn planning and scheduling the way the construction industry is doing it currently. And so hold on, because you're going to tune into some of these classes. You're going to get to meet some of these students who are going to be taking the industry by storm and really making changes and improvements. So I am super excited. That's one of my dreams. That's one of the reasons I'm attending Clemson right now, is to be able to get in front of some of the young minds, some of the next generation of builders, as Mr. Davis Hambrick would put it, and encourage them to better understand the current conditions of the construction industry, to understand where we're heading in the construction industry, and for me to be able to shorten that learning gap and get them there a little bit faster. So I'm excited for 2023. I couldn't think of a better way to kick off the year than by doing a solo episode and highlighting one of the best and most unbelievable lean thinkers of all time, one of my lean heroes, Niklas Modig. I'll never forget when I heard this story. I was taking an operational excellence class with DPR Construction, and Niklas was our actual facilitator, right? Niklas Modig in the flesh was the one facilitating 30 lean leaders with DPR nationwide. We were going through an operational excellence class together, and this story really stuck with me, and it's how he taught me the concept of push, form, pull content. And I think it's so important because as a leader in the industry, I've always heard, it's got to be a bottom-up approach. It's got to be a bottom-up approach. And listen, I don't know if you've spent a lot of time on a job site, but if we allowed the construction workers, the people who are closest to the work, to have full control and full realm of everything that got done on a construction project site, we might not make it too far, right? We've got to, as leaders, establish some direction, establish some parameters, establish some guidelines that really help to drive a project in a certain direction, to help us hit milestones along the way, to be able to forecast where we've been and where we're headed. And so this bottom-up mindset doesn't always work unless top-down has established some form that bottom-up can now pull that content. And so as we talk about push, form, and pull content, I'm going to try and do my best to give you my best Niklas Modig impression. If you don't know who Niklas is, please look him up. He's got an amazing TEDx talk out there where he talks about flow efficiency over resource efficiency and what that efficiency paradox really looks like. He's written a book with Paul Armstrong called This is Lean. Again, one of my top 5 books of all time from a lean mindset perspective. Niklas really helped me to understand what lean is and how I can apply it to the construction industry. And so the story goes like this. Back in 2007, Niklas was studying the way cars are sold in Japan. And now you got to understand, in Japan, Toyota makes the cars, but they don't sell the cars. They hire third-party dealerships to actually sell the cars for them. There's roughly 300 or so of those private entities that own the 5,000 dealerships throughout Japan. Toyota, once a year, identifies the one dealership who's doing the best job, and they award them the role model of the year. In fact, they actually rank the 300 of their dealerships based on their performance and how much they've sold, how much profit, and basically how efficient are they at selling the Toyotas. And this particular year was special because they had a company was the role model of the year, but just 4 years prior had been number 287 out of 300. So they went from being one of the lowest performing automobile dealerships to one of the best performing automobile dealerships. And Niklas got a chance to interview the CEO. And he's asked the simple question, how did this happen? How do you become one of the best performing car dealerships in less than 4 years? And the CEO was maybe 40 years old or so, and a charming man. I remember Niklas saying that specifically. A charming young man. The CEO was about 40 years old or so at this time. And he said just 4 years earlier, when he was 36 years old, he had witnessed his father die and he had to take over the dealership. He said, the first thing I realized as I walked in the door of my new dealership was that everybody saw the world from a different perspective, different glasses. And he used glasses as a metaphor for the way everybody approached their work, or everybody was doing their work. And so he said, once I realized that everybody saw the work from a different perspective, I realized that I needed to make sure that everybody had the same glasses, that everybody was able to see the work through the same lens. And so what I did is I went out and I hired some consultants, external consultant coaches, and I was able to really help to identify what are our base values, what are our base principles, how are we going to get work done, what are the rules that we're going to live by. And so once I had 100% of my people trained and seeing the work through the same lenses, and it was time for step 2. And my job as a leader is, once I've established that 100% of people have the appropriate glasses, that they're able to understand their work through our perspective, now I have to make sure that they're seeing the work through those lenses. That everything they do, they're approaching the work with using the training that's been provided for them. And then step 3, which comes natural because everybody's wearing the same glasses and we're all starting to see our work from the same perspective. Now we can make recommendations for improvement. Nose of this space represents the delta or the change in the way we're doing things to the way that things are going to be done. People are smart. Once people start working with the work and the processes that you've established, they're going to want to make them better. They're going to want to make them easier. That's just natural human instinct. Now, once we've identified opportunities to improve the work, now we're going to enable our people to take action to be able to improve the work. If you're a CEO or a leader of the company and you're telling your people what to improve or what to make things better, you're only getting in the way. And I can't overemphasize this enough. If you are not closest to the work, you do not know how to improve the work. You may have some suggestions. You may have some things that might help the situation, but you alone are not going to be able to solve issues or make the work easier. You're going to have to ask questions. You're going to have to really dive into the people closest to the work and be able to do this. And so when you really think about this from a top-down, bottom-up approach, you look at this and say, okay, as leaders, we've established form. So we're pushing the form. We know that 100% of our people are going to get the same exact training. We know 100% of our people are going to actually utilize that training. We want 100% of our people to actually make recommendations for improvement. And then we want 100% of our people to take actions to actually make the work better. And so we've established this form, or this is the way things are going to be done. But we're not telling people what to improve. We're pulling that information, right? So we're pulling the content. We're pulling the things that need improved from the front lines, from the people who are closest to the work, because they know it best. And how are we doing that? We're asking questions, right? We're asking open-ended, inquisitive questions that are really going to make people think. And so that's the why we're pushing form and pulling content. We want people to have parameters, but they're still engaged and they're still encouraged to think. Thinking is so important, especially as a leader within the organization, because I can't always be the one up here teaching and teaching and teaching. If I'm not learning about your current conditions and where you are, then how do I know what to teach you next? How do I know the content that I need to deliver to you? And so this takes a constant teacher-learner mindset where I'm able to switch on the switch when I need to be the teacher, but then switch that off and then turn on the other switch of learner where I sometimes need to be the learner at the same time. Because think about this. I can teach you the training. I can teach you the expectations. I can teach you how to see the work. I can teach you how to improve. I can teach you how to take actions to make that improvement. But I've got to, as a leader, I've got to learn about that improvement. I've got to learn that I've got to enable you and allow you time and energy to be able to implement these improvements, right? I've got to be able to allow you to, or pull the content from you to actually understand what even needs to be improved. I've got to allow you to see your work through these glasses. I've got to allow you, so I'm not giving you all this answer. I'm pulling this stuff from you and allowing our process to get better. And that's one of the beautiful things about this, right? This is that PDCA cycle where, okay, once we have developed the glasses, now we're utilizing the glasses, now we're making recommendations for improvement, now we're actually improving the work, and this just trickles and feeds right back up into the new glasses. As we got new people coming on, or we're developing new processes, new procedures, we're now changing the glasses. Maybe we're making them longer. Maybe we're giving ourselves a little nose piece. We're improving the glasses constantly to make the work easier for the men and women who are actually in the field doing the work. I want to give shout outs and credits to those of you who have team health assessments, or those of you who are actually practicing with the circle of trust that we've talked about in the past. These are all ways that you're pushing form, but you're pulling content. We have a process of how we're going to grade or judge our trade partners on this job site, general contractor included, and then we're going to pull that information from the people who are closest to the work, the people who are there, the safety folks, the superintendents, the project managers. Those folks are who are going to be who grades or who judges the trust level on the project site. Or for those of you that are doing PPC, if you're using the last planner system and you're calculating metrics on PPC, right, you've got a form of the last planner establishing weekly work plans. And then the PPC is, hey, I'm engaging and I'm pulling back information to say, are my trade partners performing at the planned percent that we agreed upon? Another huge shout out to Langston Construction. I know they're doing this because I was a huge part of it back when I used to work with player cards, right? Think about these little individual craft player cards, almost like baseball trading cards, where they're highlighting the worker, right? Maybe it's a picture of the worker in action, maybe operating a bobcat, a lull, maybe digging a hole. I don't know, whatever they love to do. And they, on that player card, they've got where their location is, where they're from, all the job sites that they've worked on, the superintendents they've worked with in the past, all of their credentials, the things that they love to do. What are they passionate about? And it's deeper. It doesn't just say concrete. It says they're really good at forming concrete, or they're really good at tying rebar, or they're an operator, or place and finish, right? They get specific. So shout out to Langston Construction with their player card program. I think that's an amazing way to push form and pull content. I know that this is a great way to develop good team habits. I'd love to encourage you to think about the form that you've established on the job sites. What are the patterns that you've established on your job sites? What are the expectations that you have clearly communicated to your trade partners? And how are you pulling information back and making them better as you move forward and you repeat this process over and over and over again? Pushing form and pulling content is a great way to get the folks closest to the work engaged with the work, to be able to allow some thought into the process, to allow improvement into what we're doing on a day-to-day basis, because we will never get it right 100% until we adapt to the work that the construction site has. Variation is going to happen. We've got to allow for variation to take place within our equation. And if we're pushing content, we're not allowing us the ability to engage with the worker, to be able to pull back actually what's happening and to make a difference on our job site. So I encourage you to think about the form that you're establishing on your job site and how are you pulling the content and allowing the trade worker to think to improve their work, because you alone will not improve the work. But when you engage the minds and the hearts of the people who are actually doing the work, you'll be amazed at how fast that the work will improve. Season 2, 2023, the Lean Builder, kicking it off with a little Niklas Modig, pushing form and pulling content. This is a concept that you need to put in your arsenal, because being able to utilize this as a capability development for your entire team will prove to be well worth the time that you invest as you identify the form and you start to pull the content out of the worker, out of the people who are closest to the work. You will improve your job site by utilizing this concept through many different tools like the health assessment, the circle of trust. Again, any of these tools where you can establish that form, but pull the information from the people who are doing the work, because that's what lean builders do. That's how we're able to improve the work of the men and women who are actually in the field doing the work. How are you pushing form and pulling content? Until next time, Lean Builder 2023, Season 2, baby.